Hey guys, welcome to another live show, another live She Knows Arsenal. Make sure you guys are liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and most importantly, getting into the chat and letting me know what you guys are thinking and feeling about Arsenal 3, Nottingham Forest 0. We won a game. Yay. I mean, not like we don't win games, but you get what I'm saying. We won. Yes, there's so much to talk about. So yeah, make sure you guys are in the chat because I want to know what you guys are thinking, because honestly, I don't even know where to begin. Genuinely, I didn't know what to think because Ange is now the coach of Nottingham Forest. When we first looked at the schedule, I thought this could be a tricky game because Nottingham Forest under Nuno has been a really good, hard to beat side. I know that we beat them 3-0 or 3-1 last season at home, but away from home, I think we drew 0-0. But obviously, we're going through a weird time as well. But they have been a good side. And so when the schedule first came out, I was like, "Dad, this is actually a really weird run because we got Leeds, but then the next home game that we have after Liverpool is a good team, you know?" So yeah. But then the nonsense happened with Nuno and Edu, and I was thinking this could work to our advantage because if they have some tomfoolery going on behind the scenes, hopefully it'll like rattle them up enough where they will be shit when they come to the Emirates. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I'm not one of those types of people that's like, "Oh, I want to play the best of the best all the time." I'm like, "Sometimes I want you to come not at your best. Sorry, sometimes I want you to come not at your best, you know?" And so I don't actually know what would have happened had Nottingham Forest came with Nuno because they had just got slapped at home by someone. I can't or away from they just lost a game. So like a weird loss too, where they lost to someone right before the break, and then Nuno gets sacked. And I don't know if all of that had to do with their drop in form because their first game of the season, they like beat Brentford down. So yeah, it was weird. But we always have the opportunity to control our destiny if we play the best that we can play. And I think today, I still see that there's a ways to go, but we were still really, really, really good. There was a little bit of like that, oh, this person doesn't play with these two players don't have that like connection and chemistry. So there's a little bit of like things off there here and there. Like Calafiori and Eze, that whole front three is new Arsenal players that have never really played with each other before. And then even the right hand side was different because no Saka, Timber is not Ben White, and then also you had Ethan in there after Odegaard went off, and then Mascara in. There was a lot of changes in that team. Also, Marino in midfield as well, no Rice. So I'm not really surprised that it was a little like, okay, they weren't on the same page, but we were still incredibly dominant in that game. And in the first half, one of the things that really stood out to me was the ability for us to win the ball back quickly and start a new attack. Mascara, mascara, mascara. Do you know how insane of a player you have to be for Arsenal to have Saliba out and for no one to be freaking out? I have not seen that ever. Every time Saliba has gone down, which has been minimal, to be fair, whenever he's not been there, we have panicked, or at least I have. Let me speak for myself. I have panicked. I felt nothing. I felt safe. I was like, Mascara, he's got us. Baptism of fire at Anfield. He'll be fine moving forward. He was more than fine today. He was one of the big reasons why we were able to win possession back quickly. I have to go look at his stats because I know that he won a lot of his duels, but winning the ball back quickly and then passing it forward to whoever it was, Ethan, Marino, whoever, and getting us going in the other direction. Him and Gabriel looked really, really good today. Not that I'm surprised about Gabriel, but there was no awkwardness like the awkwardness we used to get with Gabriel plus Kivior, which some of that was because Kivior was left-footed, so you had two left-footers back there. But I think more of it was just the fact that Kivior does not exude the same physical presence that Saliba and Gabriel. He does not have that same physical fear factor that those two have, the athleticism. Mascara looks just like Saliba and Gabriel. He looks just like them back there. And I think in a game where we'll talk a lot about Noni, we'll talk a lot about Eze, we'll talk about Gyokeres, we'll even talk about Zubimendi. Mascara's performance cannot go under the radar because he probably impressed me the most. And that's probably because Noni was so good in international break that I was like, okay, he's in a good moment, so he's going to be good for us coming back. Mascara, he's shocking me. He's shocking me so much because he's young. He just got to this league. He seems to have no adaptation problems, and he cost us 13 million. 13 million. We have robbed Valencia. Valencia, I'm sorry. We owe you so much more from Mascara, but the sale is the sale at this point. You know, we're going down the street with our sack running down the street with Mascara in tow. Yeah, Mascara was sick today. So I guess that's where I'll start. And I'll go into some of your comments now, but I'd love to hear what you guys think about Mascara because wow, you know, we will get to the attackers, but whew, we have robbed Valencia. My goodness. Shola says, we now have 3 musketeers and Mascara is the third. Yep. Yep. It's taken us a minute to get to this point. I feel, you know, because it's hard to bring in somebody that's going to have the same presence. Call it presence because I don't think it's so much about technical quality or anything like that. I think it's presence because when Salima and Gabriel play, they have a presence about them that makes them so formidable against even the best center forwards in the world. Mascara has that as well, and it's taken us a while to find that. Madrid must be crying seeing how we stole him right under their nose. Absolutely. Like that is the type of signing that PSG makes like they did with William Pacho. And everybody's like, why didn't we go for him? You don't always have to spend so much money to get value in the market. And I think that's one thing that maybe not that we need to learn, but I think it's just like a little point there that value isn't always like going to a Premier League side and spending 30 something million on Mark Gahey, who we know is good, but I mean, I feel nothing. You know, it's Mark Gahey was like the main name that was being spoken about as like a player that we could bring in to da, 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 da. But Mark Gahey would have cost Liverpool or us probably like 30 something million. We spent half of that on a player that's younger. I'm not going to say he's better, but I don't feel anything about missing out on like Gahey or anybody like that. There is value in the market if you have a good sporting director, Andrea Berta. Let's see. Only 13 million. Mascara's distribution is slick. I mean, he just looks so comfortable, but we knew that because if you can come into a game where you weren't supposed to start at Anfield and look like the way that you looked, because genuinely in that game, our defenders shut down really good attackers. It took a moment of brilliance from Liverpool to break that game open. And Mascara was a big part of that because he came in like the 4th minute. Mascara might already be a 40 million pound center back. Mascara keeps surprising me. Who needs Saliba? Not too much. Not too much. Listen, I'm happy about Mascara, but Saliba is still a world-class Rolls Royce. And we know we've needed depth for a while, so not too much. Not too much. I've seen a little bit of that going around today. I think it's because this is the first time that we've had genuine good depth under Mikel Arteta. And so there are players that didn't play today that need to be sold or we don't need or not too much. We still need the likes of Saka. We still need Saliba, but it's just nice to have players that can come in and do the do, you know? Valencia will take us to court daylight robbery. Feature says Mascara is the real deal. Our defensive unit is the best in the world. Mascara has been solid since we bought him. Mascara dropped into our defense seamlessly. What an unreal player. We stole this guy right out from underneath Madrid's nose. I mean, It's nuts. It's crazy how we already have a Saliba replacement already or ready. Exactly. Mascara, wow, wow, wow. I genuinely think that, you know, when I think I put him when we ranked the signings, I wanna say that I put him 3rd, and we signed, like, 8 players. Um, and I meant that because he was so even though our preseason was a little spotty and we didn't get anything at Anfield, that signing just felt so right because he just stepped straight in and looked like he knew what he was doing. He didn't need he I feel safe. That's the best way I can put it. And for him to be so young and for it to cost so little, I think it's an under the radar signing that just shows how much value there is in the market when you have a good DOF. I'm not going to lie, jump scare when I saw Edu in the stands today. I was like, oh, shit. So I was like, "Ah, get him out of here. What is he doing back here?" Roderick says, I think Mascara still has room to grow physically, but damn, 13 million euros, the squad depth. We shouldn't cry about certain players not playing like Rice on the bench and Timeline was screaming. We need to grow as a fan base. And I want to piggyback off of this because, funnily enough, when the lineup came out, now, mind you, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. So I didn't really have the bandwidth to react any sort of way because I was just trying to survive. I was just trying to survive. That was it. But I looked at the lineup and I thought, Marino's starting. That's okay. And the reason why I say that is even though I have huge questions about Marino a lot of times in midfield, our record with him in midfield has not been great. Um, I think we should be able to have that amount of talent out there and still beat Nottingham Forest at home. And with somebody like Rice, who I do think at the start of this season, and to be fair, at the start of last season, is struggling physically to get up to peak fitness, which Declan Rice's best qualities shine through when he's at his best physical peak because a lot of his best attributes are intertwined with his physicality and his athleticism. So when he doesn't have those things, it his he just doesn't feel like the same player where some of our players, even when they're not at peak fitness, still have so much quality, i.e. Saka. Saka can have one foot, one leg, and he still adds so much. Rice is different. His physical attributes are what makes him special. So in this time where I feel like it's been clear to at least me and maybe some other people that he hasn't been physically up to it, but he played all these minutes for England. It's nice to be able to shelf him, put him on the shelf to relax, to kind of get some rest in his legs before we go into Champions League and Manchester City at home and still win the game 3-0, right? So Marino starting did not feel like a big deal to me. Marino's thing is, I think if we go up against more physical, maybe more running midfields, maybe he'll struggle. But for all intents and purposes, today, I thought Marino was really, really good. I think he heard the slander. I'm not going to lie. Arteta spoke about it in his press conference. I would not be surprised if conversations had been had, maybe between Mikel and Mikel, or just maybe in Marino, at home, looking at the mirror and said, they're talking, they're speaking ill on your name. You need to show and prove. And I think, again, in a game where we're going to talk about Noni, we're going to talk about Eze, we're going to talk about Gyokeres, we're going to talk about Zubi. I think Marino was really good today. I do. I think that he manned the ship very well. I think him and Zubimendi having that natural chemistry worked, and it didn't feel like we lacked anything, which I feel like sometimes when Marino is in midfield, there feels like there's one less midfielder in there. And maybe the combination of Rice and Marino just doesn't work because most of the time when we have to play Marino in midfield, Rice is playing DM or, maybe just that combination doesn't work. Maybe we just need to find the right combination of players for Marino to thrive in midfield, but he was really good today. And we, like what Roderick is saying, we need to be more comfortable seeing players like Saka, Saliba, Rice, Odegaard not in these 11s and feel like we should still be winning. And hopefully today was a big step for that, for sure. Make sure you guys are liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Zuby. Zoo. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Do you know how insane it is for Zubimendi to have scored 2 goals today? Let's not even talk about the quality of the goals that he scored, but just for him to score not 1 but 2 goals. I think they said on commentary that 17% of his professional goals were scored today. 17%. Listen, Zubimendi, I think, needed that because not that I think that he was lacking confidence or anything. I think the fan base, certain parts of the fan base, did not have that same confidence in him post Anfield because he had a little bit of a rough going of it. I think he was better than what people gave him credit for, but some people just said that he stunk. Fair enough. We all have opinions, right? But Zubimendi, I think, needed a game to just flourish and have a good game and just do his thing. And he did that today. The goals were really, really good, especially that first one was a freaking worldie. How many times do you see Arsenal players come up with something that is just a moment of individual brilliance and technical quality that has nothing to do with coaching or anything? It's just a freaking good goal. It's kind of rare. I don't think Arsenal have that very often. We have our set pieces, we have our, our pattern goals, but it's rare that we have games where a player breaks the game open with a worldie. So that goal, the technique on the volley, was incredible outside of the box. That was his only goal, professional goal from outside of the box. And it was just a moment of brilliance. And sometimes you need to break the game open with a goal that the other team just cannot score. I think Nottingham Forest had done well in terms of their box defending. We were knocking on the door. There was a lot of chaos, and they just could not hold us out, hold out much longer. But Zubimendi, that was a crazy goal, my guy. That was a great, great goal. And yeah, I think it was just a moment of brilliance. There's not much more to speak on, but just it was a moment of brilliance. And then the second goal was really good as well. We got our customary set piece. So yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was really good. And I enjoyed it. That Zubimendi volley, his first goal outside of the box as well, wasn't even doing it in training, apparently. Banger. Hussam said first Zubimendi's goal was decent. I mean, listen, I can't wait to go and see the hate watches because that was not what they wanted to see. Trust and believe. Let's see. He locked up Morgan Gibbs White, and a first-time volley is mad. Reminded me of Sanchez. It was really, really good goal. And yeah, I just think he just needed that. I think he just needed that for sure. And it was just insane. Like, there's not much more to add to it. All of the signings are performing well right now. I'm impressed. You guys said the Hussam thing. I wanted a hat trick for him so badly. Same. One of the things that I had texted Gabby during international break is something that I want to see moving forward, is for a player to get 20 goals under Mikel this season and one of our attackers to get a hat trick, or one of our players in general to get a hat trick. The only player that I feel like has gotten a hat trick under Mikel has been Eze and Gyokeres. So, and obviously these are not things that have to happen or else I'm going to be like, Arteta out, get him out. But it's definitely something that I just want to see in terms of proof of concept that our attackers are in flow, if that makes sense. So yeah, Zuby was close, but yeah, who knew about Zuby? Both goals were quality, and the volley will be up there for goal of the month. Let's see, when was the last time we scored a non-set piece worldie? Exactly. I mean, it was just a pure moment of brilliance that it shook me. Like I was just sitting, I couldn't believe it even happened. I was like, this is insane. How did because we're not used to it. We're not used to it. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this. Zubimendi critics ain't seen nothing yet. More to come from him. The thing about um you know, Zubimendi is that I always anticipated him having a welcome to the league type of moment in maybe one game where he just wasn't he just wasn't up to speed. I think when you come from La Liga, when you just have that half a second more, you have to learn how to get up for that kind of stuff. And when you're playing up against midfields that have the Elliot Andersons and the Morgan Gibbs Whites, they are technically good players, but they also are physically like bigger than what you would go up against in La Liga. I think he did well. I think he did well today. And I feel like it's gonna take Zubimendi probably about 6 months to get up to full speed. But if this is who you already are 3 games in, then I'm impressed because you know, it's taken other players that have been in this league, Raya, Kai, to name a couple, to just get up to speed of just changing clubs. So I think Zubimendi's done well. Zubimendi and Mascara were so good. I agree. Where do we go from here, guys? Do you guys want to talk about Noni? Do you guys want to talk about Eze, or do you guys want to talk about Gyokeres? I'm seeing Eze, so we'll talk about Eze. Eze was excellent, but a true overlapping left back would make that left-hand side deadly. Rodri took a whole season to adapt. Zubi taking time to develop is no issue. I agree. Burmy says Eze's pass to Glock 14 shows why we needed him. All right, let's just talk about the goal in general. The second goal, the timing of it was perfect. And the execution of it was perfect. Now, it was like behind the fullback fucks it. Who cares? Teams make mistakes, but you have to be there to capitalize. You make your own luck. And I think we did that by putting in one of those types of balls that make the fullback kind of, should I go? Should I not? And he had that moment of indecision, and boom, Eze was behind him. The pass into Gyokeres, perfectly timed, perfectly weighted, and Gyokeres kicks it in the back of the net. And Calafiori is probably somebody that we're not going to talk about in a lot today because there's so many things to get to. But yeah, but Eze, I said in the first half that there was a chance that Eze created for Gyokeres early, or not early, late in the half, where he took on his man, beat him, and then Gyokeres got to it, but he kicked it over. And I had tweeted replying to somebody that the route for Gyokeres to get better chances is through Eze, not through Noni. Through Noni, but mostly through Eze. And the reason why I say that is because Eze, being a true playmaker, is going to put that ball on the ground. With Gyokeres, he's not going to be getting on the ends of those lofty crosses. And Noni, to be fair to him, he was getting to the end line quite a bit, and he was just getting blocked. But there's more traffic on that side because teams understand that Arsenal are going to attack from that right-hand side. So I think just the nature of the traffic on that side makes it more difficult to get those balls on the ground to the person that you're trying to get it to. So we put in those lofty crosses to the back post. Gyokeres is not there as much. But Eze, because he's on the side that tends to be more open, which is why when like Martinelli was on that side, he would have so much space, but the final ball wasn't good or he took too long or whatever. But Eze takes on his man, doesn't take on his man, sorry. He gets the ball in behind and puts in the perfect ball to Gyokeres, and Gyokeres puts in the back of the net. Simplicity at its greatest, in its greatest form. And I think where Arsenal tend to overcomplicate attacks, Eze and Noni have found ways to simplify it to the types of things that you do in attack that just make football easier. Beat your man, put in the cross, things like that. And so that was the perfect way that we're going to score more goals. on especially building up on that left-hand side, because most teams are going to put more men on that right-hand side to stop the Nonis, to stop the Sakas. There's going to be so much more space. So if you hit an early ball into the channel, we'll have a good chance of getting that ball across to a less crowded area for Gyokeres to just tap it in, or whoever's there could just tap it in. Eze was really good. He had limited amount of touches in the first half, but the touches that he took were really quality. And I think as the left-hand side is more functional, which had a lot to do with Calafiori, had a lot to do with Eze, we'll start to trust that side a lot more to take on more of the responsibility of building up and creating chances and not have such a heavy reliance on the right-hand side. It's going to take time. We have quite literally ignored the left-hand side for 2 seasons. So I think it's going to take a while for the left-hand side to get that same respect as the right-hand side. But my goodness, I think Eze was brilliant because the touches that he took, as limited as they were at times, had so much bang for their buck, if that makes sense. The ability to be on the at the halfway line, beat your man and get us out of trouble. The ability to beat your man and put in a good pass for Gyokeres. The second time that he did it ended up being a goal. He just oozes class, like, and there's not really much that it's not surprising because we've been watching him for years. It's just so weird watching it in an Arsenal shirt. It feels gratifying, and I don't have nothing to be I didn't do anything for it, but it feels gratifying, like having a player like this. Yeah. So yeah, I think with Eze and Gyokeres, there's an opportunity there to really build something dangerous with a natural playmaker that's going to understand the timing, the pace, and the quality of the pass that needs to go in for a striker. Because Eze and Mateta were a dangerous two-man step, last season. So why can't he have that with Gyokeres, who thrives in similar situations as Mateta, in behind, 1v1s, one-touch finishes, things like that. And you could see that once Gyokeres got that goal, that front three started to click a little bit more. I also think there's also an element once you get the second goal and you do it right after half, because obviously Ange did his team talk and he said, don't concede in the first 5 minutes of the half. And they did that. And so it deflated their bubble. But you could see then that as a Noni Gyokeres front three started to look even more dangerous. Gyokeres, I thought, was good the entire game, whether he was getting service or not. He was much, much, much sharper. You could see his link up play. He had one pass that he just one touch flicked it into the path of Marino. I was wishing that was Eze, because I think if that was Eze, he would have went to goal or would have tried to get into the box. Marino slowed it down and went backwards. But just that in itself, I was like, he's so much sharper than he was pre international break. And you could see once he got that goal, he made that overlap on Noni. The one thing I have to say this about Noni too. Obviously, we're going to speak about Noni, but his ability to know when to release the ball for the overlap. Yeah, he released the ball on the overlap, and Gyokeres hits the ball with so much pace and power. I'm like, we've arrived. It's here. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Where I know people were scared. I know it. You can be honest. You can be honest. This is an honest platform. Were you scared that he was going to flop? Be real. Because I think after, Manchester United and Liverpool, there was like is he the right guy? Is he the right guy? His fitness, I think, was keeping him back quite a bit. But I also think just learning, being at Arsenal and stuff like that, and his teammates trusting him is a big thing. We still have a ways to go with this Gyokeres signing in terms of feeding him. But when you feed him, we're now seeing the fruits of that labor. This was the first time that we fed Gyokeres and he scored. It was like the first time he's gotten like a clear-cut chance from a teammate. Full stop. And he puts it in the back of the net. Then he hits the woodwork. We're here. We're coming. It's happening. 3 games in, 3 goals. 3 games in, 3 goals. 3 games in, 3 goals. We are going. We at the train. It's leaving the station. Like, it's there, So with Eze and Gyokeres, I still think we have a ways to go. with that chemistry. And I'm not saying that to say that it wasn't good today. I'm just saying that it could be so much better, which is what's exciting about it. And having a functional left-hand side and also seeing what a striker can do for you. Oh, 4 games in, sorry. We're 4 games in. I keep forgetting about the Leeds game. Sorry. 4 games in, 3 goals. My bad. Um, it's like the Leeds game never happened. It's like it never happened. Whenever I think back, all I can see is Manchester United and Liverpool, and that's it. But yeah, 4 games in, sorry guys. But it's happening. We're here. We're arriving. Yes, you know? Let's see what you guys are saying. 4 games in, 4 games in. Especially with the slander he has been receiving, shutting down the haters. I can't believe people said Sesko would be better 4 games in, but he's delivering nonetheless. That golden boot charge is well and truly alive. Uh, Gyokeres is gonna be so good as he gets used to this team. The way he hit that shot that crashed the bar post, got Podolski flashbacks. Feel sorry for whichever keeper actually gets on the end of one of those shots. He'll defo get 20 plus goals. Madueke, Mascara, Zubi, amazing. Yeah, we still not feeding him quick enough, but it'll come tranquillo. 100%. It definitely still needs work. And that's why I said at the very beginning of the show that there's only positives to be able to win a game with so much confidence, professionalism, and really like just no bullshit. 3-0 against a good side and still know that there's a long way for this team to go, but still feel really good about the performance that you put in. And I'm saying that we have a long way to go as a positive, not a negative. And I hope that that's coming across to you guys as well. All of you that were scared of Noni, including Jess, we're going to get into that for sure. I think Gyokeres back to goal still has to grow because he can't always play over the defense, but in the box, boy, he is lethal. Gyokeres is a menace. Arsenal still needs to figure out how to get more balls to Gyokeres. It feels strange how the right side dominant we are still, even with Eze, but Noni looks great. I just think I think it's going to take time. Genuinely, I just think naturally we're more inclined to go to that right hand side. And so personally, I feel like it's just going to take a little bit of trust. I don't think that the left hand side has looked more functional than today in 2 years. Take from that what you will, but it's going to take time for, I think, the team to trust that if we go to the left-hand side, we're going to get something from it, if that makes sense. Because for 2 years, kicking it to the left-hand side was basically like killing the whole move, if that makes sense. So, yeah. 3 clean sheets, speak on it. I was so proud of the performance today. That front 3 left me hungry for more. Very excited for our attacking potential. Marino had dip in his chip after that hat trick. He was feeling himself today. He heard the slander. I'm sorry. He heard it. And listen, it's Marino, is a player that I think the criticism was kind of deserved because the proof was there that when he plays in midfield, there's a direct correlation to the results not going their way. But I always can respect a player that maybe sees the criticism and wants to change it and doesn't like sulk and shit, because at Arsenal, you're always going to get criticism. Like it's just natural from the outside, from inside. So I think Marino's whole maturity and his whole mindset is perfect because it just makes sense. It just, you go into international break, you score the hat trick, you do really well. And then you come to Arsenal and show people that you can play in midfield after your manager goes to bat for you as well in a presser, So yeah, Marino, he did well today, 100%. The players are still brand new. It was it will come together. Eze played easy, but just the composure to look up makes it look easy. Marino has an elite mentality. That is one thing about him. He has an elite mentality. I agree with that. So really quick, I Trossard's always gonna get his. Trust and believe. Trossard came on the pitch with a little scowl on his face. One thing about Trossard is he's never happy to sit on that bench, and so when he gets his opportunity, he's gonna get his, and he got that assist, and so well done him. But I want to talk about Madueke, of course, because I do think that he had that rare type of game where you don't score or get an assist, right? Because the Zubimendi goal was off a second phase off of a corner, correct? Or something like that. And yeah, I don't think he didn't get any GA. But it's the rare instance where you can be the man of the match and not have any GA as an attacker, because that performance was really, really good. Like, it was his unpredictability, I feel like, is his best quality. Where Saka is probably a little bit more predictable, but you can't stop it. Madueke is unpredictable, and that chaos, he created so much chaos for Nottingham Forest that it was only a matter of time that we would score, because they were just in hell. They were only going to be able to hold on for so long because the level of chaos that he was creating on that right-hand side had one of the fullbacks was spun. I don't know what his name was, but he got murdered. Like, it was horrendous. I'm Noni destroyed him over and over. And he was so good that Mario said, "I went out, coach. It's okay. I don't have it in me today." Like, he had them on toast, and he just kept going at them, kept going at them. And that was, I don't even know if I can say it was really, really good. I want to say I feel like that's not doing it justice. That was a fantastic performance, and there was no GA at all. This is because there's going to be some dumb rival fans probably sitting there saying, "Yeah, but he didn't get any GA." But who cares? Genuinely, that was a really, no notes, and he probably should have had a couple of assists, if Nottingham Forest weren't, defending their box well. He would have gotten probably an assist off of at least the Timber chance, which I think Timber does put that in the back of the net. His corners were really good today. And the biggest compliment you can give Noni Madueke is that we don't have Saka and we're not shitting bricks. That is probably the best compliment that you can give him. And he offers something just similar to Saka, but also different. Like I said, his unpredictability, the fact that you don't know if he's going to cut in or go end line, is really useful in causing chaos for the defense. I saw after he scored his first goal for England that there was a lot of, "You can say that you were wrong, be honest, you were wrong, you were wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong." I would say that, I'm okay with saying I'm wrong about Madueke because there's no skin off my back. If a player is playing well, I'd prefer to be wrong than be right about a player, to be honest. But I'm hoping that there's a lot more to come for this player, to be honest. I think that if this is just like the beginning, this could be very exciting for us. But I don't think that it can be, I don't think it can be, it's under, it can, like, I don't know if we've ever had this level of depth of player to come in, because usually it would be like Trossard coming in for Martinelli, and that felt okay for a while, but this is definitely like another level. And so what I would say 100% I was wrong about is Noni Madueke being a good enough backup for Saka. I thought he definitely, at the very, very lowest level of what I can give him, assuming and hoping that there's so much more for this player, is that he definitely has more than enough ability to step in for Saka and it not feel like less than. It doesn't feel like less than right now. It feels good, if that makes sense. Where anybody else that stepped in for Saka always felt like less than, way less than. So I think, Arteta definitely got that right, that you bring in a player like that for 50 something million. I don't think that I did not see that at Chelsea. There was just, I don't think he was anything to write home about at Chelsea, but Arteta and everybody at the club, I think, knew a lot more about what he could bring for us. And so, yeah, at the bare minimum, he is a better quality member of the squad in terms of being able to keep the levels high when our starters are out than anybody else has been ever, you know? And so I would definitely want to give him that. But again, what I'm hoping more than anything is that this is just the beginning. If this is where he stopped at, cool. But if there's a world where Nani gets better than this, if there's a world where Nani, you know, really unlocks end product, I don't know. It's scary, but not for us. That's all I have to really say. But listen, I'm more than happy to say that I'm wrong about something. Because if I'm wrong about something, and it's because I was not sure about a player or I did not think that they were good enough, then that means that something positive has happened for Arsenal, and that's more important than me being right. If that makes sense. Hold that says Nani was a steal. Mascara, Maresca knew that. He was even tracking back. Just wondering, could see Saka left wing, Nani right wing, and Eze at the 10. I think you could see that, but there's a huge pushback, at least online, for some Arsenal fans to move your star player out of his position. But I think there's a world where, I would feel like we don't need to always look at other teams and mimic what they do. And feel like, well, Salah never moves, so why would we move Saka? There's a world where we will want to be able to utilize Saka utilize all our best pieces at once. And if there's a situation where we want to play Eze in midfield and you want to make sure the left is not Martinelli, then you need to look at that. Because I think you could genuinely put Saka in any position in our team and he would be really, really good. Genuinely. I think you could put Saka at left center mid, right center mid, anywhere, and he would still be our best player. So I'm not really worried about, but Salah never moves, so why would we move our marquee player? We need to figure out what's best for us. And if what's best for us at some point in the season is, like, let's say Eze is not available, or, Eze going to play in midfield. Let's just say that's the scenario. There's no world in which Martinelli plus either one of Saka or Madueke is our best wing pairing. So if you want to go with your best wing pairing, somebody has to go to the left. And who's more likely to be better up on the left? That's not about moving Saka because he's being removed. It's about doing what's best for the team and also understanding that Salah probably can't play on the left. He's not versatile like Saka. Salah has one position, so we don't need to always look at what other people are doing. Now, this is probably never going to happen. If this were to happen, I would be shocked. My jaw would be on the floor if I ever saw us line up and Saka was genuinely on the left. But there will be a day where we'll want to play Madueke and Saka together. And if that comes, I'm okay with either one of them being on either side. But one player would be genuinely better on the left than the other. That's all I really have to say about that. So we have options. It's okay. It's fine. Nani and Eze, especially for low blocks, might be key this season, simply having game breakers. Saka, Eze, and Madueke could even be a front three in certain games. Eze as a false nine, Saka on the left, Madueke on the right. Black excellence. Fluidity. They can play wherever up top. I agree with that. Remember, Saka started off as a left back. Saka's just so versatile, and we have to do whatever's best for us to get the right players and the best players on the pitch at once, So I'm not too worried about it, to be honest. Nani might be the guy we start against the weaker teams and Saka against the big boys. For sure. And I also think there's also going back to like the rice of it all as well, just there will obviously be this, the normal, yeah, but we don't need rice then, or rice is shit all of a sudden. You're going to want rice against the better teams. You're going to want rice against the better teams. This is what I'm saying. Just because Mascara and Marino and Noni did well today doesn't mean you're not going to want your big boys in there in the games for real. So, yeah. But we have options, and that's all that matters. Saka should probably be back for maybe the Champions League game, and probably Saliba as well. So, and if there's anything, if you've not learned this yet, you will learn it right this moment. And I need you guys to open your ears and like really listen to what I'm saying. The amount of injuries that we've sustained in these first couple of weeks, I genuinely think that we just need to be happy about the depth and quality that we have instead of trying to find issues, problems, scenarios in which we have to pit these players up against each other to cause fake debates when it's probably a more real scenario that one will come in and one will be out, because there's no way we get through this season without injuries. If we have a game or two where we have almost everybody available, that will last for one game, maybe two max. If these first couple of weeks have not taught you anything, it should have taught you that we are going to sustain injuries. So there probably won't be many scenarios where we see all of our attackers available at once and we got to really like choose and pit people up against each other and all of that. Let's just enjoy. Brian, thank you so much for your super chat. Says people have been gaslighting us for 2 years, telling us we need to change things to get the best out of Martinelli. He was the problem. Listen, I think, today it was already really clear. So I don't actually think it even deserves any more conversation, to be honest. I think if you wanted to be obtuse, or not even obtuse, but just willfully like gaslight yourself into thinking that it was anything really other than the fact that we needed more quality on that side. It is what it is. We have upgraded, and I don't think there's really any scenario in which we would want Martinelli over Eze. So we are where we are. I also think that Trossard, as much as I know that he will be forgotten in a lot of conversations because he has definitely fallen down the pecking order, he's just not the type of player that he's just not the type of player that you want behind you when you're not in a good period, because Trossard is still going to get his no matter what. He's still going to get his no matter what. So it is what it is, to be honest, when it comes to the Martinelli situation. This conversation to me was done like 12 months ago, so it just took us way too long to get to a point where we had somebody capable of taking his spot. Martinelli just needs to be a bench player, and that's okay. Speak your truth, Jess. Don't hold back. It's just, you guys know I've been saying this for so long. I just don't, he just sticks out like a sore thumb, and there's no reason to beat him down any further. It's just, Eze is going to be the starter. It's just so like, we don't even need like the illusion of defensive stability or defensive contribution at all. It was just another excuse, another pit stop to this outcome. But the defense, but the tracking, but this. So yeah. Um Jess, that was a very good breakdown. I like you, spot on nuances and the performances, really nice stuff. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm just just speaking my truth, but this is an easy game to analyze because we played really well. So yeah. And Jimmy, I did speak about Mascara at the beginning. He was the first person that I spoke about. He has impressed me so much. We absolutely robbed Valencia, and when you can come in and during a Saliba injury and put everybody at ease, that's all we really need to say about that player. But yeah, I mean, the only other player that I feel like I really want to talk about is probably Ethan. I feel like, you know, Ethan is not a player that I'm afraid of putting his boots on and coming out there and playing in midfield. And I think his last two performances in midfield, one against Leeds and one against Nottingham Forest, I think has shown a lot of growth and he's doing the types of things that I think will hopefully allow Arteta to trust him more in midfield going forward, because he's not playing like a winger in midfield. Arteta needs his number 10 or his right center mid to be involved in keeping the game ticking along, which means that there's going to be some more like dropping back and taking the ball and recycling and things like that. And so I felt like I saw a lot of growth from the time where he came in against Leeds to the time that he came in today, because a game against Leeds, although I thought he had a positive performance, he lost the ball too much. Today, he was really good in possession, and he sped up play when he needed to. He played quickly when he needed to. I would like to see him get more shots, but other than that, I think we're getting there with Ethan. Ethan is so good. I'm not scared of him playing at all, because to me, like, fuck it. Like, let's go. But where Arteta probably got enough of a pass for the Anfield game, him coming in today was just another step forward, for him playing in midfield for us. Because let's keep it a buck. Last season, when he played in midfield, it was a little bit on the rougher side because you just didn't see him. He wasn't getting on the ball as much. Today, I saw there was a lot of times where, Nottingham Forest's midfield is not lightweight by any means, and they would come on to him, and he would hold on to the ball, keep it, and keep recycling possession, speed up the play when he needed to, slow it down when he needed to, make good decisions, link up well on that side with Noni, with Timber, play well with Zubi. There was a lot there to be positive about from that performance. And again, I still think that and this is coming from a really positive perspective, there's a long way to go with Ethan in midfield, because we know we haven't even unlocked the goal scoring and that kind of stuff yet from midfield. But I thought that was if I had to give it a number, I would say that was an 8 out of 10 for Ethan coming in today. The only thing that would have made it better is if he had gotten a little bit of GA and maybe a couple more shots off. So yeah, I think he was really, really good, man. Learning curve for Ethan, no better place for him to be, 100%. It was really good, and it will get lost in the shuffle of the Noni and the Eze and the Gyokeres, but I think it needs to be said. Young player, 18 years old, 19 years old, whatever he is now, I don't know. Coming in, playing Premier League games and playing in a difficult position. It's an important position in our team. It's not just picking up the ball in between the lines and picking out passes for your attackers. Our right center mid is very involved and takes a lot of touches, and it didn't feel like he was missing, which we had seen maybe a little bit last season at times. He said a 7. Nwaneri, like a few players, will take off after a few games and start to ball. I agree. Odie looks like he may be out for a few more games, so Ethan will get more game time. And I think it's important to play Ethan there. I'm going to say it once and I'm going to say it again. I genuinely feel like Ethan needs to be playing in that position. I know that everybody wants to see Eze there, but I just feel like for us to get our best players out there at once, unless, because yeah, Ethan in that position means that Eze can play on the left and we keep the fluidity on the left that we need so badly to be dangerous. And so Ethan plus Eze plus Madueke/Saka or whatever we decide to do moving forward feels like the best way to get as much balance and firepower out there at once. And when you make a big song and dance about this player being the person coming in for Odegaard, you have to play him when the time comes. And I'm glad that Arteta did. 7 out of 7.5, I guess, for Ethan, like I said. Can we please give Zubimendi his flowers, please? Man just scored a brace. We did talk about Zubimendi earlier on in the show. So we did not miss him. We spoke about Mascara first. We talked about Zubi. I talked about Marino. I talked about Noni, Gyokeres, Eze, Ethan now. I think we pretty much got everybody. The only other thing that I wanted to say just really quickly is there was that one freak accident that almost happened and would have been probably the worst time that it could have happened. I think it was 1-0 up in the first half, at the end of the half, and freak accident goal almost from Wood. And Raya got a fingertip to that. I just wanted to make sure I said that. I want to make sure I said that. Just want to make sure I said that. Raya got some fingertips to that. Game is very different if you go into that halftime 1-1. Very different, so I just want to put that out there. And on his 100th performance or 100th game for us, I think he got another clean sheet. 41 or 42 games he's had a clean sheet. Do you know how crazy that is? Like, that's nuts. That's nuts. Raya's nuts. Sorry. He's just nuts. Oh, second half at 2-0. I thought that was earlier. it was earlier. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. I thought it was earlier. But yeah, 100th performance, 100th appearance. He was really good today, I thought, too. Just in terms of, not having his, one moment of, passing out from the back and making a mistake. Getting his fingertips on that one chance, really good. And just being Raya. Just being Raya, so yeah. But listen, get man of the match into the chat. I should have done a poll, but I forgot. So we could just do it in the chat. If you guys want to give your man of the match now, that would be great. Well, I kind of think about mine because I feel like it should be Noni, right? But I don't know. Noni is my man of the match, but I feel like a lot of people's would be Zubi because of the goals, which is fair enough, but mine, this is the rare performance from an attacker where you can get no GA and be the best player on the pitch. Because I feel like so much of his chaos created the opportunities for us to score those goals. Because Nottingham Forest were rattled. They were genuinely rattled. So, yeah. I'm going to give man of the match to Noni. Could easily be Zubi. Genuinely. So, and like I said, I think there was still some left on the table that we could have spoken about, but I want to keep this kind of short because I know we're going to go watch other games and stuff, but we could have talked about Timber. We could have talked more about Calafiori. They were good. So, yeah. Madueke, man of the match. Mascara before Noni, Zubi, Timber, Zubi. Noni is a random one. I don't think it is random though. I think if you're not it's again, it's a rare performance from an attacker that does not have GA, because you can have GA in a game and not have been the best player on the pitch. And I think from the perspective of who made the biggest difference out there, Noni made the biggest difference out there. Obviously, you score goals and that becomes the difference. But in terms of like, I just feel like Nani had the most impact from a general play. And that's why I'm giving it to him. But it's really rare that you can have a game with no GA as an attacker, and I still feel genuinely in my soul that you were the best player out there on the pitch. And that's how I choose man of the match. It's not, we've seen games where like Rice or Saka gets more GA, but they weren't genuinely the best player on the pitch. So sometimes when you get more GA, you get more of the plaudits, but there are players that made it possible for you to do that. And I feel like Nani was one of those. That Murado nightmare at left back. Subi is man of the match. That worldie eased the tension. Fair enough. I accept that for sure. Then the worldie of it all. Yeah, Nani man of the match performance today. Totally agree about Rice and Saka for the serious and tough games. Yeah, there's no way that we don't still need our best players. Like, let's be real. It's nice to feel like we don't need them in these games, but we are going to need them. Let's be honest. Nani was a terrorist out there. Just on my way from the game, definitely Nani. Mascara has been so good. I completely forgot about Saliba, which is probably the best compliment you can give him. Nani had the cheers and the song at the stadium. And this is a player that was widely like a very unpopular signing, like very unpopular, more unpopular than Kai and Raya. And those two players, it took a long time for the fan base to warm up to them. But I feel like with Nani, the first big step that he took was the performance that he had at Anfield, because genuinely, as uninspiring as that was, Nani was the only real bright spark in there outside of the defenders. And I genuinely do think that that thawed the ice on him quite a bit. He had a really good performance for England, and then he turned up today. I just cannot wait for him to get his first goal. I think that's going to change the game for him, but that's where I am with it. Nani was great, and Zubi Dooby was special. Agreed. Nani Rafinha arc. You love Nani already. Great to see. I'm not going to hate on a player just because I didn't think that they were the best option that we could have gotten. Like, I'm too old. Like, I'm so sorry. I don't have time or energy to have hate in my heart when I don't need to have hate in my heart. I want Nani to do well. He is an Arsenal player, and if he does well, and it's on my head top, it's on my head top, because we won today and he was amazing. Jess, did you see Edu at the game stone face? It was a jump scare. It was a jump scare. I was like, what is he doing here? Shocking guy. Zubi, Nani, Mascara, and Timber all deserve it. But for me, Zubi, because of his 2 goals, I think, yeah, I get that for sure. Let's see. I'm happy Nani came good. The first new right wing backup who is not far off of Saka. Insane, man. So yeah, it was good. I love it. Nani is mine. A lot of people chose Zubi, and I get that. But listen, guys, I'm gonna go watch this. Let's actually check the scores. What's going on in the world right now? Because I want to watch one game. But you know what? The game that I was gonna try to watch is actually looking kind of stinky. I was gonna watch Everton and Aston Villa second half, but maybe Bournemouth, Brighton. These are kind of stinky games. Yeah. So in the 9:30 is not watching that. So the games are not good today. Yeah. And Crystal Palace and Sunderland. Look at all these games 0-0. What a shame. We actually could have talked longer. But listen, guys, let's go ahead and get out of here. I'll find some game to watch. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday. But yeah, like and subscribe on the way out, and we will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.